Greetings and welcome to the Buffalo Review TV. I'm Amy Kavanaugh.
And I'm Max Wagner. Thank you for joining us today.
Now, from the campus of SUNY Buffalo State, news and information for Buffalo and the surrounding communities, it's the Buffalo Review TV, produced by Stripes Media.
Firefighters were called to Buffalo State Tuesday, responding to a rooftop fire. Students were evacuated from the neighboring classroom building as the winds carried billows of smoke. Buffalo State's fire blotter determined the cause as accidental. A construction worker from the site said the specific cause was a cigarette butt. However, that has not been confirmed. Earlier this month, firefighters were also called to the same building due to strange smelling fumes.
SUNY Buffalo State freshman Nasir Jackson went to Capitol Hill this week. Last year, Jackson was struck by lupus, which with the symptoms paralyzing the left side of his body. Through chemotherapy and medication, Jackson regained use of his left side and even clearance to play football for the Bengals. Writing about his experience caught the attention of the Lupus Foundation of America, and they asked him to be a representative. Jackson will speak with Senators Chuck Schumer, Christian Gillibrand, and Representative Brian Higgins to discuss funding for lupus research.
The Family Justice Center of Erie County and the YWCA on Grant Street are partnering up to help victims of domestic violence. It's going to be a community drop-in for people living in the West Side, said Mary Travers Murphy, director of the Justice Center. The partnership allows for better access to services for residents on the West Side, who otherwise would have to take 2 different buses to travel to the downtown location. The FJC is working hand in hand with the social workers at the YWCA to provide individualized, client-specific services with special sensitivity to their cultural background. Some of the services provided will include safety planning, counseling, legal, and law enforcement assistance. All services will be confidential. The partnership should be up and running within the next couple of months.
4 seniors at SUNY Buffalo State unexpectedly had their financial aid revoked and are expected to pay back $9,000. Farja Brabham applied and was approved to join a visiting program in partnership with the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. This program allows seniors to graduate with an associate degree from FIT and a bachelor's from Buffalo State. Brabham received a phone call in October from the head of financial aid, Connie Cook, and was told that there is an issue with credit transferring. The amount of credits transferred back were not enough to count as a full semester, which is necessary to get funding. Braham says her course was approved by the chair of the department and head of the 3-in-1 program.
Research has found that over 4,000 deaths have been linked to lead poisoning, 10 times more than previously thought. Lead exposure combined with high blood pressure has been known to be an especially dangerous combination. But now researchers are finding a much stronger link incorporating cardiovascular mortality to low percentages of lead poisoning. The study consisted of over 14,000 people between 1988 and 1992, where over 4,000 of the participants had died by 2011. Although lead poisoning does not mean imminent death, the Center for Disease Control has been unable to establish what they would consider a safe amount of lead within the bloodstream.
Wednesday, March 14th, high school students across Western New York walked out of class. Local students are taking part in the National School Walkout. Lewiston Porter and Niagara Falls administration say it is important to let their students use their voices. The walkout was set to honor the 17 killed in the Florida shooting. The demonstration is also a message to Congress to pass tighter gun laws.
The Buffalo State's men's team 2018 schedule was officially released last week. The team looks to improve on its 6-5 season last year. They made their 3rd postseason appearance in 4 years. The team will have a difficult first 3 weeks as it will be on the road to start off, traveling to several states like Massachusetts and Michigan. The team will have their first home game on September 29th against conference rival Hartwick.
Buffalo State's Allison Torsey is taking her academics outside of the classroom. Reporter Cyan Hill will tell us more.
Allison Torsey is a 19-year-old junior at Buffalo State. Instead of living the normal social life of a teenager, with the help of her mentor, Shazi Byram, Torsey is working towards her future goals. It isn't common for students to graduate high school at 16. Allison Torsey is an undergraduate student that enrolled in Buffalo State with 2 semesters of college already completed. Since coming to Buffalo State, the junior decided to be an applied mathematics and physics major. Allison has consistently been named to the dean's list. She tutors other students and is also elected president of the Alpha Epsilon Phi sorority and math club.
Graduating and coming to college at 16 is probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. I've definitely been a lot happier since I've been in college. I think it's just really taking those steps and being proactive about your education, about what you want out of life. Your life's what you make it, and if it's not making you happy, stop doing it.
Her mentor, Shazi Byram, has an undergraduate career from 1994 to 1998 at Ankara University. She has received her master's at the Eastern Mediterranean University.
She's given me so many tools and helped me be so successful through research, just in college and in life. She's always the person I go to for advice.
In 2006, Shazi Byram received her PhD in mathematics from the University at Buffalo. We're 2 peas in a pod, which is how Allison would describe her relationship with her mentor. Since Allison has been enrolled in college, Shazi has helped her accomplish most of her goals, and they are working towards accomplishing her future goals.
She's doing everything right at the moment. I mean, she just have to keep up the good work, dedication, and maybe one little thing, she takes more than she can carry sometimes. But that's she manages, but she's a little bit hard on herself sometimes if, that fails along the way. Prioritize what is important for you, and then everything is just going to fall into the picture.
For the Buffalo Review TV, I am Cyan Hill.
On March 15th, Buffalo State held their spring choral concert at the Performing Arts Center in Rockwell Hall. The Buffalo State Choral performed, and they were directed by John Fleischman. Also, the Buffalo State Chamber Choir performed, while directed by Vicky Furby. The concert was open to everyone and was free with no ticket required. The Caribbean Student Organization hosted the Battle of the DJs this past Sunday at the Social Hall in the Buffalo State Student Union. The competition gives a chance for up-and-coming DJs to showcase their talents. Our reporter, Marcos Watkins, has more details.
Thank you, Amy. Here's a scoop on Battle of the DJs.
Shout out to everybody that came out and supported this event, I'm telling you.
Many people gathered together on Sunday night to enjoy a night of hip-hop DJs battling it out at Buffalo State's Social Hall. The event was hosted by the Caribbean Students Organization and featured 8 DJs vying for the top spot and for the favor of 3 judges.
I really like most about performing in this event. Where I'm from, I was born and raised in Jamaica. Where I'm from, I grew up watching this type of stuff. DJs battling to compete to see who's the best. It's not even on just to say who's the best, but just to see who's more dedicated to really do this, you know what I'm saying? And I always admired doing that. So came here, moved here, migrated, and I started going to college.
But this event was not just for kicks, as the winner was rewarded with a large trophy to themselves and also a $900 of prize money. While there was no official head count, the event attendance was even better than expected, as CSO staff had to bring out extra chairs for the crowd, and many even stood as they enjoyed the event.
It's just an upcoming event that we're trying to have annually every year. This event means a lot to this organization because it's the culture that's behind this event. It's showing the Caribbean roots, that they have different style and they do different things. They're not only known for, the stereotypes, which they only dance and they raunchy. It's about showing your talent.
The winning DJ was DJ Ninja, a Mooresville student who drove all the way up for this event, who will now get to showcase his talent for Buffalo State one more time at Carabash, one of CSO's prime events of the year.
Call me baby and I'll be rolling with the gangsters. Mask on, gloves on like they contagious. But what you think about me? Anything I put on, I'll be looking OD. Pull up to a party in a...
Carabash will take place Thursday, May 3rd at Buffalo State. With the Buffalo Review TV, I'm Marcos Watkins.
Top of the morning to ya. That was the call for nearly 50,000 people who came out to celebrate the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Buffalo celebrated its 78th parade this year. Families and friends lined Delaware Avenue to celebrate the one day that everyone's Irish.
On today's show, we will talk to Provost Melanie Perot about the study abroad program in Cuba.
We will also speak to combat veterans from the Western New York Heroes. All that and more here on the Buffalo Review TV.
You're watching the Buffalo Review TV, produced by Stripes Media. You can find out more about our show at our website, buffaloreview.wordpress.com, and we welcome your feedback. If you have a question, comment, or story idea, you can email us at thebuffaloreview@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Buffalo Review TV. I'm Marcos Watkins. With us today is retired Air Force veteran and Buffalo State alumni Dan Rossi, as well as Britton Walker, an Army vet and current student at Buffalo State. They join us from Western New York Heroes, a nonprofit organization that assists veterans and their families with their needs across the area. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for your service, and thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
Dan, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. How did you hear about Western New York Heroes, and how did you come to join it?
Sure, after graduating from Buffalo State College back in '94, I got a job at Lancaster High School teaching social studies. As time progressed, I ended up teaching AP Psychology. As part of my AP Psychology class, I brought in Chris Krieger from Western New York Heroes with his service dog in an effort to try to educate the students about post-traumatic stress and things like depression, anxiety, and so forth, and the whole purpose behind having a service dog. And after Chris and I got to know each other a little bit better, and then he discovered that I was also a veteran, I told him, I said, you know, if you ever need any help over there, I'm willing to lend a hand. And he said sure, and he appreciated the offer, but he didn't actually expect me to show up and start throwing out the trash and cleaning the dishes and doing whatever else, and one thing led to another, and a year and a half later, I worked for him.
So now I know you operate through fundraising and donations. How do you make this possible, and how do you bring more awareness about your organization?
We do a lot of things like this. We do a lot of interviews. We do a lot of TV, commercials. We do radio spots. I did a radio interview on WBEN about a week and a half ago, doing basically the same thing on the radio with them. We attend various events that we've been asked to attend. We reach out via the internet, via Twitter, all the social media stuff, and it's just been, I won't say easy, but it's been really remarkable how the community has rallied around and supported the organization in open arms, with open arms.
Of course, of course. Sticking to the families of local veterans, could you tell us more about the Backpack Drive and the William E. Cramp Scholarship that exists for students?
Yeah, right. It's for students, and it's also for the dependents of the veterans as well. With regard to the backpack program, basically 2 years ago, the program provided backpacks with all necessary school supplies to help children be successful to about 40 children of veterans. Last year, with the increased exposure and people knowing about the program, we were able to help over 100 children of veterans and service members get the supplies they need to be successful in the classroom. And the supplies come to us via donations from the public. People just show up. They ask us to come by and pick up the things that their students have gathered together from summer camps and so forth. And then we offer it up free of charge to the veterans. They show up with a school supply list. We take a look at what we have, and we basically go shopping for them, and we pick up everything they need, and they go out the door with a brand new backpack and brand new school supplies, and it doesn't cost them anything because their parent has already earned it as a result of their service. The William J. Cramp Academic Scholarship is something we named after a veteran that unfortunately took his own life back in 2008 after serving, and the program is essentially designed to help veterans who have already exhausted their educational benefits but still want to continue their education. So this program is increasing with regard to the number of scholarships we offer and the amount, but right now it's one of those scholarships that's out there that maybe not everybody knows about, but it's there for the taking if they qualify and follow the guidelines on our website and fill out the application, and then it gets reviewed, and a veteran or their dependent might end up with an extra $1,500 to spend on books or whatever they need.
Of course. And Britton, you have one of the service dogs here from Western New York Heroes with you. How exactly does having a service dog help you and other veterans around the globe?
You know, one of the main things that Dory's done is she's really helped keep me have focus in my life. She keeps me calm when I get real upset and I'm struggling with day-to-day activities. It's really been a blessing to have her in my life. You know, she picks up on things that, you know, I might be going through that the normal person doesn't realize that I'm really struggling with a day, and you know, she'll pick up on it. She'll try to pick me up. So I think one of the things I think there needs to be more programs like Western New York Heroes throughout the country. I think each city in the United States of America needs to have their own local organization that can really reach out and help. I mean, I've got a friend that I served with in Oklahoma right now, and he is struggling so much, and he could use every asset that Western New York Heroes has. And you know, when speaking with his wife, she just says there's no programs like that in their state that they can reach out to. So it's something I wish was nationwide.
And Dan, maybe this will apply more to you, and if you know the answer, you can go ahead and give it to Britton. What exactly would go about maybe implementing a system more like this that would be kind of more standard all around the country?
Well, we actually have had people reach out to us and ask if we would be willing to take Western New York Heroes nationwide. Our concern with us taking our specific organization nationwide would be the fact that we like our donors to know that their money is locally controlled and locally distributed. Donors like to know that if a veteran from Western New York is hurting, we can lend assistance to that Western New York resident, and the money that they donate will stay in Western New York. When we do authorize a grant for something like rent or mortgage or utilities, it's important for people to understand that those checks are cut to those who are owed the money. The veteran doesn't get the money, it goes to those that are owed it. And sometimes when an organization goes national, sometimes there's a bit of a concern with regard to, you know, is the money going where I would hope it would go if I were a donor? We feel comfortable in being able to tell our donors, don't worry about that, it's staying in Western New York. If other organizations want to start up somewhere else and they want to ask us for advice or something, that would be fine. We'd be happy to do so, I'm sure, but with regard to us taking our particular organization nationwide, it's not quite something we're ready to do. We just want to take care of Western New Yorkers right now based on our capacity.
Oh yes, understandable. And being that I also come from a military family, my father served in the Army for 20 years. I currently have an older brother stationed out in Kansas. He's about to have a major. Just want to throw it out to him real quick. But one thing that I always wonder is, how do outsiders, people that want to help out veterans, how would they get involved and help out a program like this?
That's pretty simple. They can simply contact Western New York Heroes at 630-5020 and talk to someone there and ask to be put on the volunteer list. We have a database, we have a list of volunteers, and occasionally we'll do what we call an email blast. If there's an event coming up in the near future, which we have some coming up, we can simply send out an email blast and say we need X number of volunteers to help out at this particular event. It's a non-alcoholic event maybe in a particular case, and therefore age requirements aren't a concern. Or there will be events where we'll lend a hand and will require our volunteers to be at least 21 years of age because of the consumption of alcohol and so forth by the participants, but not the volunteers.
Do you have any public or open, any type of events that are coming up soon you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. We have something called the American Warrior Concert coming up, and that's going to be going on in June. That'll be going on June 1st and 2nd, and that'll include a couple of bands, actually 12 bands, including Madison Rising and James Wesley. For those who aren't too familiar, Madison Rising seems to want to model themselves after kind of a hard rock, post-grunge type of scene. And James Wesley is more of for those who appreciate country music. So there's a little bit of everything at that event. And again, that one's going to be on June 1st and 2nd. And if people want to know more about those particular events, I'll again go to our website, click events, and you'll find flyers and so forth like that that promote all the particulars about, what if I want to find out more, where exactly is this, so on and so forth. So those are just two of the things coming up. There is another event coming up with regard to a cruise night, an actual cruise night on a boat in the Buffalo River.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have. Gentlemen, once again, America thanks you for your service, and thank you again for once again coming on. We will be right back on the Buffalo Review TV.
You're watching the Buffalo Review TV, produced by Stripes Media. You can find out more about our show at our website, buffaloreview.wordpress.com, and we welcome your feedback. If you have a question, comment, or story idea, you can email us at thebuffaloreview@gmail.com.
Buffalo State has signed a memo of understanding with Cuban University Universidad Central de las Villas, to begin a partnership and study abroad program. The program will provide events such as symposiums and workshops. This is the first partnership between UCLV and a U.S. institution. Buffalo State President Catherine Conway Turner was among other SUNY presidents that visited Cuba in February. And to talk more about the expansion to the study abroad program here at Buffalo State is the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Buffalo State, Melanie Perot. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So how about we start off with just a brief overview of the study abroad program here?
Sure. So we have a great study abroad program, and we send students all over the world. We send students to Africa, to Europe, to hopefully now to Cuba, but really just about anywhere you think you'd like to go, we can send you, either directly through a Buffalo State program, or we also have consortium agreements with SUNY. And so there really is almost nowhere that you can't go. And so it's a great program. We have semester-long programs, and we also have a lot of short-term programs. So if you can't commit to a whole semester, maybe you'd like to go during January term, or we have some spring breaks, some very short trips over spring break, and also 2-3 week sessions in the summer.
So what's the process that a student goes through to apply for the study abroad program here?
So we have a global engagement office on campus, and they have a website, and so you can look there to some of the upcoming trips or to see what the process is. And so it's really quite simple. It's identifying that you're interested in going, and some are directly led by our own faculty, so it might be an entire class that's going. And so in that case, the faculty will have worked with the students to identify who wants to go. But what the Global Engagements Office job is to do is to make sure that the process is as seamless as possible, that we get the cost down as low as we possibly can. So they negotiate with different experiences in different countries. And they also work to take care of things like getting visas if necessary, making sure that the students are going to safe places, and that we have connections so that the students and their parents can be confident that you're going to get the best experience possible.
Right. So why do you think participating in a study abroad program is so important for students?
So we know this, that students who study abroad tend to graduate on time, and they also tend to be feel really engaged with their campus community. And so we really think that at Buffalo State we're citizens of the world, and our job is to help students see the world as possibility places to go after being at Buff State, and how you might take your Buffalo State education and change the world for the better. And whether that's here in Erie County or if it's in Rwanda, it's the same experience. But going abroad gives you the opportunity to really experience a different culture in a way that you can't necessarily in the United States. And so you get a greater understanding of the world, and really ultimately learn very quickly that humans are humans are humans. And it makes you really look at the news of the world differently, I think, after you've had an opportunity to study abroad.
Right. So the newest expansion has been to UCLV in Cuba.
Yeah.
How is that university chosen to partner with?
So the Universidad de la Villa is very similar to Buffalo State, very similar student base. And what really struck me about their university, and I had an opportunity to meet with their rector, who is a version of their president. This is a university whose goal is social engagement. That's what they want their students to do. That is their mission. And so very much in the same way we have an Office of Civic Engagement, and we really stress service learning for our students, so too does that university. So it just seemed like a perfect match for us.
Was a university in Cuba your next step, or were you looking to many other places?
So I was really interested in developing more programs in this hemisphere. They tend to be a little cheaper, that travel is quicker, and so we had been in the past really focused on Europe and programs in Africa, which are tremendous, and I really recommend those as well. But there's really this whole area that we hadn't given too many students direct opportunities. So, and Cuba seemed like a great step when it came up.
Yeah. So what kind of classes should students expect if they participate in this new expansion to Cuba?
So right now what we're planning is focusing on Spanish language immersion classes, which you might expect. But we're also really interested in teaching English as a second language, as are many of the Cuban universities as well. There are also institutions in Cuba that are particularly interested in our art conservation program. And so we think there's a lot of different touch points that where our students and their students can work together, as well as our faculty and their faculty.
Right. With this expansion, does that allow students from the Cuban University to come here, or is it just one way?
Well, we have a little tough political situation on that end. So right now it's quite difficult for a Cuban student to come to the United States, but that is the ultimate hope and expectation that we'll be able to get that.
So is there any future partnership that Buffalo State is looking for another expansion into the study abroad program?
Yeah, so we're always looking at places that make sense. And one of the things that came out of this trip to Cuba is I happened to meet a person from a university in Colombia, where right now we don't have a program. And he's very interested in working with us to send students that are interested in working in their peace studies program. And I think there's a lot of really interesting collaboration that we could do with that university. So we'll be following up with that one shortly.
Right. So for students who may stray away from participating in the study abroad program, who may be scared of it, what would you say to convince those types of students?
So I think everyone should do this if you possibly can, because if you think about it, the chance later in life that you're going to be able to take 3 months, 6 months, or even 3 weeks off and just go to a foreign country, they get slimmer and slimmer as you get older and you get the family responsibilities and work responsibilities. This is a great time, a small window in your life where you really can get a chance to take advantage of that. There's nobody who studies abroad who comes back and says, wow, I really regret that. Never. And so I've never heard that. And so this is an experience that's unique to this time. You get to go to people your age, you get to, it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot. And we've worked very, very hard to keep the cost down. And so we've reduced the cost, and one of our target goals is to make the cost of study abroad no different than the cost of studying here at Buffalo State plus a plane ticket. And so that's the goal.
So does that cost go into your student bill, or is that like out-of-pocket pay?
So there's, you get your financial aid. It's the same as any other class. It just happens to be in another country.
Okay.
And so your financial aid can pick up significant parts of it. We have a lot of grant opportunities on campus where we can help pay for your plane ticket and things like that, and maybe a little bit towards incidentals. So it's not without cost, but again, if you think what it costs to take a cruise or a trip to Paris, you'll never find anything more affordable than study abroad.
Right. Earlier you spoke about the shorter visits, maybe a 2-week or in J term. What are the differences between those study abroad programs and the full semester long program?
So those are, really sort of study abroad light, and typically those would be project oriented. There's no ability to really understand a language or a culture in 2 minutes, and in 2 weeks, and everybody understands that. But what we hope with those short-term programs that students get a little taste of a different culture and sort of just some of the general processes. How do I get a passport? What's a visa? Right. And those sorts of things. And that will enable them to, in future, say, hey, maybe I will take a semester abroad. Or later in life, just say, I understand what it is to go to a foreign country. And now it's not so difficult or challenging just to take off and let's go to Germany.
Have there been any of the programs here that you think are more successful than any certain programs to a certain place?
Well, we are the home of SUNY's first study abroad program, and that's the Siena program in Italy. It was the first one ever, and so of course we're very proud of that one. And then another one that we're very proud of is with the Anne Frank project. We send students to Rwanda on a regular basis, and that's not a typical country that would fall in most colleges study abroad, and that's a unique opportunity for our students.
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank Melanie Perot for joining us today. For the Buffalo Review, I'm Max Wegner.
The Buffalo Review TV, produced by Stripes Media. You can find out more about our show at our website, buffaloreview.wordpress.com, and we welcome your feedback. If you have a question, comment, or story idea, you can email us at thebuffaloreview@gmail.com.